lights in the trees, a trick of the frost, a ghost on the breeze. But I saw a mirror older than me, staring through time like it wanted to speak. The forest went silent, the world held its breath. Something was watching beyond life and death. We stepped through the green, boots breaking the seal, not chasing a light, but something too real. I came back with salt on my skin, my mind split wide when the storm got in. They call it a test, but I know the deal. History blinks beneath the green veil.
Inside Raven Rock, the countdown had begun. The world above was on the edge of awakening, and deep underground, Jack Barrett, Leo, and Sergeant B prepared for the most important decision in human history. Not whether to go, but how. Project Veilfire was activated, a false convoy to mask the real mission. A narrow burst phased insertion to Capel Green, synchronized to a global harmonic frequency of 13.13 Hz. Around the world, ancient nodes were stirring: Sedona, Giza, Naxos, and Caracol, all resonating as if remembering something buried in time. As Dr. Voss explained, December 24th wasn't chosen by strategy but by design. It was the day when belief, emotion, and memory converged, a moment humanity had unconsciously prepared for across millennia. The test phase revealed the truth. The 1980 Rendlesham event wasn't an accident. It was a planted divergence, a correction point. Jack, Leo, and B were not victims of contact, but its catalysts. The light that had once blinded them was not alien technology. It was humanity's own signal returning home. Then came the arrival of Chuck DeCarp, the forgotten DIA analyst who had chased the truth for decades. His message was clear. This was a war of memory, and the only way to win it was to remember. As the lights dimmed and the threshold prepared, Jack whispered to Leo, "If we don't remember who we are, someone else will decide for us." The field pulsed once. Blue, infinite, alive. The crossing awaited. The world had 17 hours left before convergence. In the heart of the White House, beneath reinforced concrete and history's heaviest silence, President Rayner rehearsed the message that would change civilization. Chuck DeCarp stood beside him, watching encrypted feeds linked to every major government and media network across the globe. No one outside that room knew what was coming. "This isn't about explaining the unknown," DeCarp said quietly. "It's about reminding the world what it already feels in its bones." Across the Atlantic, the first tones began to stir over East Anglia. Villagers awoke to flickering shadows that weren't their own. Children spoke words in reverse. The forest whispered like an old dream finally remembering itself. And far below Raven Rock, Jack Barrett, Leo, and Sergeant B stood inside Phase Chamber Omega, their bodies suspended in cobalt light. The hum built, rhythmic, primal, planetary. "This is the moment," Jack said. "Let's go meet our mistake," Sergeant B replied. The lattice activated. Time folded, the world vanished. And as the 13.13 tone rippled through both Earth and memory, the signal, humanity's oldest echo, began to repeat.
In the silence before the dawn, a pulse beneath the skin is drawn. The sky remembers every name, the voice that called the stars to flame. We fell through time to find our home, forgot the code, the blood, the tone. But through the breach, through fear's disguise, the signal woke within our eyes. We were never lost, only unalive, echoes of gods we left behind. Every tear, every prayer was died or sent through open air. Across the heart, across the deep, through every age, through every scar. We've been the message, we've been the star, the light that falls, the sound that keeps, the echo returns, the signal repeats. The child cried out, the tone began a wave that shaped the soul of man. From molten seas to Bethlehem, the code rewrote what we became. Jack bears the wound, Leo the key, beholds the side of destiny, and through their bond the world replays the sound of us unmade remade. You were made to forget, so you could remember. You are the bridge between broken beginnings and healed futures. You are not the weapon, you are the witness. The light is calling, not from above, but from the place we buried love. The signal repeats through the bloodline, through belief. Not alien, not divine, just memory reborn in time. We are the sound the cosmos keeps, the echo returns, the signal repeats. This isn't first contact, it's final communion.
December 24th, 2025, 0600 GMT. White House, secure media briefing suite. Chuck DeCarp stood beside President Rayner in the underground studio beneath the East Wing. Screens glowed with encrypted feeds to the UN, NATO, and global media nodes held in blackout. One keystroke, and Earth would be told. The president reviewed the draft once more, hands steady despite the stakes. He glanced at DeCarp. "Do we have the tone right?" DeCarp nodded. "This isn't about explaining the unknown. It's about reminding the world what it already feels in its bones." The president read aloud, "To the people of the world, this is not a threat. This is not a hoax. This is contact, one we've carried inside us since before time had a name, and now that signal has returned." DeCarp looked at the countdown. T-minus 17 hours. We go live once convergence begins, he said. No edits. The world sees it as it happens. East Anglia, villages near Rendlesham, early hours. It began with a tone. In Sudbourne, a woman awoke to flickering shadows that weren't her own. The air smelled of ozone and cedar. Her cat levitated briefly, purring. In Butley, children whispered ancient words in reverse, swaying to rhythms only they could hear. Walls rippled like water. Reflections blinked. By sunrise, locals across the Suffolk coast reported echoes, tones inside their homes, distorted voices, flickers of memories they never lived. The forest is remembering us, one woman said. Or, we're remembering it. FOB Scepter, Field Briefing Room, 1100 GMT. Colonel Shaw paced as intel arrived. Russian intercept drones disabled in the north. The Chinese Team exfiltrated before reaching the inner perimeter, but we missed one. Dr. Halverson turned sharply. What do you mean? Mossad operatives, Shaw replied. 2 of them, embedded as foreign press. They're already in the tree line. Intent? Unknown. They haven't interfered. But they are not here to observe a miracle. They're here to document a secret. That worries the detail. Halvorsen looked toward Capel Green. Then pray they understand what they're about to see. Raven Rock, Phase Chamber. Omega, 1200 GMT. Jack Barrett, Leo Barrett, and Sergeant B stood still inside the lattice. Blue light flickered across their bodies. Resonance alignment was complete. They were ready to cross. Voss stood at the control console, voice low. Once you're phased in, time becomes elastic. You may feel unanchored. Let it happen. Hunter Green added, and remember, you're not just traveling. You're converging. Jack reached for Leo's hand. This is the moment. Sergeant B cracked his neck. Let's go meet our mistake. Phase lock, 13.13. Hertz, stable, initiating transcendence. The world vanished. Inside the phenomenon, time dilation, bubble. They didn't arrive at Capel Green. Not yet. Instead, they were suspended in a realm of folded time. A cathedral of memory and possibility. Sound flowed like water. Light whispered, and the phenomenon welcomed them. You cannot bear what is coming unless you remember what you are. Suddenly, vision. They stood on ancient earth. Crust still molten, oceans raw. A descent from above, not ships, but consciousness. Light encoding life, not aliens, ancestors. Then another shift. A stable in Bethlehem. The child, the tones. Yeshua, he cried. And the cry was a signal. Sergeant B fell to one knee. That's not a child. That's the frequency. Leo wept. This isn't religion. This is resonance history. Jack shook. The signal has always been here, and it's sentient. Another pulse. This time, painful. December 27th, 1980. Temporal echo. Rendlesham Forest. They were yanked into the past. Branches snapped. Mist swirled. They were inside the event. Jack and B saw their younger selves approaching the object. Fear. Wonder. Then, the test. Machinery underground. A directed energy experiment built on stolen UAP tech. You triggered it, the voice said. You bent space-time. But something else entered with you. The energy field that formed in 1980 had opened not just a door, but a wound. And something dark had slipped in. They were shown 2026 global neurological collapse. Dream hijacking. cultures bent into servitude via resonant dominance. This is your trajectory if the signal is not corrected. Leo stepped forward. Then this contact, it's not a beginning. It is a correction. And then, light surrounded him. The future depends on the choice you make. Harmony or recursion. You will be the voice they hear first. Return vector initiated. The dilation field collapsed gently. Time began to restore itself. Jack gripped Leo's shoulder. We know what we're going into now. Sergeant B nodded. And we know why we're the ones who have to go. Leo breathed, steady. It's not just contact. It's redemption. Inside the phenomenon. Time dilation, bubble. Temporal fold, stabilizing. The convergence field stopped expanding. It became still, not frozen, but timeless. Jack, Leo, and B floated in the threshold of the infinite, no longer viewing events, but standing inside the intelligence behind them. Light bent before them. It shimmered, cracked, and reshaped. And then it took form. Not human, not alien, not a projection of fear or hope, but a figure made of meaning, a lattice of memory and purpose, light woven with intent. The shape flickered. An elder, a child, a mirror, a fire. And then it became still. The creator. Not a god in the mythic sense, but the initiator. The signal, the source of recursion and return. The force that remembered. And it spoke, not aloud, but into their essence. You were made to forget, so that you could remember. The presence approached Leo, gently brushing against his field of awareness. You are the bridge between broken beginnings and healed futures. Your voice is the first they will trust, but only if it carries truth. It turned to B. You were there when the gate was cracked. You were chosen to see it twice. That sight will anchor what others fear. And then to Jack. You bore the wound of contact. Now, you carry its medicine. You are not the weapon. You are the witness. The presence grew brighter, towering with warmth that dissolved the fear in them. You ask if I am an alien, if I am divine. I am neither. I am the memory of what you were before time, and the reflection of what you may still become. Jack felt the answer bloom in his chest. This was not just first contact. This was the final communion. As the light began to fade, the voice offered one last message. Now go. The choice is yours. But so is the future. They felt a pulse in the core of their being, a harmonic key unlocking something dormant in every cell, every breath. And then the light collapsed into silence. They were being sent back. Changed. Prepared. Chosen. The light collapsed inward, folding through dimensions like breath reversing through the lungs of creation. Jack felt the floor return beneath him. Cold metal, alive with current. Leo stood motionless, his eyes open, but seeing far beyond sight. Sergeant B staggered to his feet, hands shaking as the final resonance faded from his bones. Around them, Raven Rock's chamber flickered between now and never. Systems rebooting as if reality itself was recalibrating. On every monitor, the same waveform pulsed. 13.13 hertz. Stable. Planetary. Hunter Green's voice came faint over comms. They're through. But something's still here. Jack exhaled, steady now. It's not over. Above ground, the aurora stretched across continents, streaks of light writing silent equations across the upper atmosphere. In the forests of Rendlesham, villagers fell to their knees as the air shimmered. A whisper echoing in every direction, in every language. Remember. And then, for the first time since the beginning of time, The Earth's magnetic field sang. The signal had repeated, and the world was listening. The light collapsed inward, folding through dimensions like breath reversing through the lungs of creation. Jack felt the floor return beneath him. Cold metal, alive with current. Leo stood motionless, his eyes open but seeing far beyond sight. Sergeant B staggered to his feet, hands shaking as the final resonance faded from his bones. Around them, Raven Rock's chamber flickered between now and never. Systems rebooting as if reality itself was recalibrating. On every monitor, the same waveform pulsed, 13.13 hertz, stable, planetary. Hunter Green's voice came faint over comms. They're through, but something's still here. Jack exhaled, steady now. It's not over. Above ground, the aurora stretched across continents, streaks of light writing silent equations across the upper atmosphere. In the forests of Rendlesham, villagers fell to their knees as the air shimmered, a whisper echoing in every direction, in every language. Remember. And then, for the first time since the beginning of time, the Earth's magnetic field sang. The signal had repeated, and the world was listening. What returned was not silence. The Creator's presence remained, not as light, but as truth made audible. Inside the Convergence band, Jack, Leo, and Sergeant B found themselves face to face with what the ancients had once mistaken for gods. It was no deity, no alien, but the architect of memory itself, the intelligence that bound faith and science into one harmonic equation. The voice revealed what humanity had forgotten, that religion was a map, not a prison, that science without soul was control, that faith and knowledge were never meant to compete, but to converge. Rendlesham had not been an accident of Cold War experimentation. It was a design trigger, buried beneath British soil, waiting for the moment when human consciousness could finally decode it. The 10 Commandments, the harmonic laws, the birth of the child in Bethlehem, all fragments of the same recurring signal. Now that signal was alive again. As the Creator's presence faded, only one truth remained. The countdown to the final convergence had begun. And when the President's voice reached the world, another voice would follow, the voice of the Source, the one who remembered.